So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm really excited to be presenting today. I'm your host, Sarah Thompson, and today we're going to be looking at how we make the most of Meta Business Suite. And this is such a cool tool that I have to say I pretty much use it every day in my business. And in today's webinar, what I'm actually going to be doing is jumping into my own Meta Business Suite account, and I'm going to be walking you through the features of how we use that. So today's webinar is brought to you via Business Station, and at the end of today's webinar, I'll talk to you a little bit more about how you can access the digital solutions program that is run via Business Station. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Chris. Lovely to have some familiar faces on here. Because it's a webinar, you don't get to talk to me, but please feel free to pop hellos in the chat. It's lovely to have some friendly faces in here. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be available via Business Station's YouTube channel, so keep that in mind. It is run for an hour today, and we will run on time, so we'll be finishing at 11 o'clock punctually. Because today is structured as a webinar rather than as like a Zoom kind of meeting, you can't actually pop yourself in and say hi and things. So if you do have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat because that's the easiest way for me to answer them. I've got my chat open at all times, so I'll make sure I can answer them promptly for you. For those who haven't met me before, I think I've got all familiar faces in here. That's so nice. My name is Sarah Thompson, and I'm the owner and founder of Online Social Butterfly. I've also been a specialist trainer and advisor with Business Station for the last 3 years, which I absolutely love. And I love that I think I've got to meet so many of you in today's webinar via this program. It's such a joy to be a part of. And we're all sitting here with bated breath because obviously a change of government has meant that we're unsure how the program will be continuing. So at this stage, it's finishing at the end of September, but we're moderately hopeful that the new Labor government will continue it on. So we'll keep you posted on that. If you haven't met me before, I've been running my own company for the last 11 years that focuses solely on digital marketing. And my background prior to that was working in marketing and communications for 15 years in the corporate world. I won't read out all my qualifications, I don't have time for that. But if you'd like to connect with me, my favorite places to hang out are Facebook and Instagram, and I'm Online Social Butterfly everywhere online. I love to connect with you all. I love to hear how you're getting on, particularly if you're making use of some of the tools that you've learned today. As I mentioned, today is going to be very much a practical session. So you're going to get a sneak peek inside my account and how that works and how it looks. And if you have questions as we're going, pop them in the chat and I'll be sure to answer them. So let me just stop my screen share. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this screen. And I'm going to jump over into my Facebook account, just get rid of all these constant chats that I have going. So yeah, let me just pull up the chat so I can make sure I can see you all. Excellent. All right, so you should all be looking at my Facebook account, which has got like Sarah Thompson up the top here, and then a whole bunch of other things here. So if everyone can just give me a little yes, we're on the right screen, I've shared it correctly, that would be great. And then I can press on. Okay. So accessing Meta Business Suite can be done in a couple of different ways. So today I'm going to be showing you how we access it through our web browser and we access the website. But please be aware that there is also a Meta Business Suite app. And if you're not aware of why it's called Meta, sort of mid-2021, Facebook as a company rebranded, and they rebranded because Facebook is more than just Facebook. It's Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp and Oculus. So they've got 5 brands under that company name. So Meta is the name of that parent company now, hence Meta Business Suite. And the idea is that we can access lots of different functions that cross those brands. So what we can expect is for Meta Business Suite to continue to evolve and have more and more features and functions in it. So I do like to run this about every 3 months. So you're always welcome to pop back and join this free webinar, and then you can see what's changed and what's updated since then. So to get to Meta Business Suite, there are a few ways, and I always like to say all roads lead to Rome. So this is the home screen of my, see I've got a little home here and I'm on my news feed. So this is just catching me up on what's going on. On my left-hand menu there's a little icon that says Meta Business Suite. Yep, the easiest way to get there is that icon there, super simple. If I want to go to my Facebook business page, which is just here, I can also access it through there. So now that I'm on my page, because I'm an admin on that page, on my left-hand menu, there's Meta Business Suite there, and that shows me some of the tools that are available in there. So if I click on that, you'll see that it opens a new tab, and it opens me now in Meta Business Suite, which is exactly where we want to be and what I want to show you in terms of what's available and what's happening. So if you have your account set up correctly, you should have both your Facebook business page and your Instagram profile both visible in here. So you can see I've got both of mine there, and I can switch between the two and access data for either one of those. So I've got here Online Social Butterfly. If I was managing other client accounts, if I click down, that would show you them. This here is really, really great because this is a top level bird's eye view of what's happening across our Facebook page and our Instagram account. Really, really helpful. So I'll start at the top here. It asks you if you want to go to either one of those so you can move across. The first thing most people want to do in Meta is create posts. And if you've used Facebook Business Suite before, or you used Facebook Creator Studio, which is being phased out, this is a really great scheduling, and I'll come to that in a bit more detail. This here I love is a to-do list, and this tells me what do I need to do. And I've got, as you can see, quite a few messages that I need to respond to. So this is always a great place to start, because this is like, hey, Sarah, this is what you need to do. You've got messages, comments, and other things that require your attention. So I can go through and get myself caught up on those. And I love that, because sometimes I have to say, especially if you go, I'm very guilty of this. I go into Instagram, I'm like, go check your messages, Sarah. And I get super sidetracked. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm still scrolling and having fun. I've forgotten to do the actual business side of things. So this is a great place to start in terms of your, what activities need to be done. The other thing that's really cool is setting some goals. Now, I haven't set any goals because I've been a wee bit busy, and I can actually set some up. And if you're like, if any of you have worked with me, which I know some of you have, I'm very numbers and outcomes oriented. So setting up goals is a great thing to do. So we can click Get Started there, and I can select what I'd like to do. So I can set my goals for both my platforms, which I definitely want to do. And I can choose what I want to do. So select a goal you'd like to achieve. Do I want to get more followers, or do I want to increase my reach? I think I'd like to get more followers. And then, so let's go with that. And it's telling me that a good goal for me is get to 5%. So in the next 28 days, it says, would I like 11 more likes on my page? And I might go, actually, I think I'm not a starter. I think I'm advanced, and I think I should go 15. And I think that feels really good. I can then go to Instagram, and I can go advanced as well and get 200 new. So I'm going to set both of those as goals. And look, nothing happens. It's not like we're on a performance review, but what it can do is every time I log into Meta, and I do love this, it can tell me that my goal is to get 200 new fans in the coming 28 days. And currently I haven't got any. Okay. But I literally just set the goal. So we'll give myself a break. So I like setting goals. You can switch between whether you want more engagement or more fans. The choice is yours. I wish you could set both, but you can't at this stage. Now, this here is Insights, and we will go into Insights in more detail on the left-hand menu, but this is a bird's eye view. And as you can see, because I have been so busy this month, my eye has been off the prize a wee bit, and I actually have had a decline in both of my accounts. So normally, in the last 28 days, I've reached 98,000 people, which I know sounds like a lot, but I do have a big following, and that's actually down, okay? So it's down 3%, and Instagram, even worse, I'm down 12%. So not great. And that tells me that I need to be getting less busy and working more on my socials, because I always like to see green up numbers, not down declines. But again, remember, these are just indicators to help keep us motivated and kind of say, what can I be doing better? And that's what's really important. Also tells us how our audience is. So I've got 4,500 on Facebook, and I've got 7,000 on Insta. And again, that just tells us that lifetime, which is helpful. Okay. What we then have is this here. I have to be honest, because I am a nerdy social media person, I will always have a look at what's going on in terms of what's new. You potentially don't need to do this because you'll see the features being added. But for someone like myself, where I train on Meta Business Suite, this is important for me to see, like, hey, what's coming up that I can share with my audience to help them feel more confident. That's really, really key. This here is your recent posts. And I love this because it tells me how things are going. So I had a podcast episode come out yesterday, and that actually performed really, really well. And that's always good to see how do things perform and how do people respond to it. Because what we should always be challenging ourselves is to do better. So if this is how you've done so far, how can you create more content? How can you replicate that success of something that you have already had? So do keep that in mind, okay? We can do the same as we scroll down with our stories on both Facebook and Instagram, which is really, really helpful, and you can do that as well. And we then also have the planner. I'm sorry, let me just shut my door. Hopefully something exciting just got delivered, but my doggies do go a bit crazy. Apologies for that. I do work at home. I can then use the planner and see how that's going and schedule out, but I'll come to that. I can then review some of my ads. So that's kind of what we call our bird's eye view of what's going on. So that's on the home button. The next one down is our notifications. And you can see that. Just loading. This tells me all of the notifications that I've got that I might like to pay attention to. So helpful to have a look at. The next icon down is our inbox. And I have to say, I love this because particularly if I'm on my browser, like on my desktop, I like to be able to respond to messages using a keyboard. I hate responding things to on my phone. I don't like typing on my phone. So I really enjoy being able to jump in here. And this is what's called a unified inbox. And what that means is I can respond to my Facebook business page messages and my Instagram direct messages all in the one location. So I've got here all my messages. I can go just to Messenger. I could go just to Instagram, and I can actually all see comments that might need my attention as well. So this is a really good place to start and to check out what's happening with my inbox. And one of the features, if you do a lot of business through your social media, it's a really good idea, and they've added this in, and I actually really like it, is on the right-hand side. So I've just shared on my stories a little post with Studio C in Mandurah, which is like a location for photos, and they've liked that. Now, if they were, for example, a client, I could actually add in some more details to say, this is a great venue in Mandurah. And then I could add a little label to say, this is a new customer, or it's an important one. So every time they message me, they'll get added with a little label, like a green mark next to them that says, this is someone that you need to pay attention to. And you could even add a little label, 2 secs, it's just updated. It does this, I update their terms and conditions all the time. So I want to add a label, and then I could just put this as my friends, okay? And then I can add that as a label. And then this is a little message here from one of my girlfriends, Grace, and I could actually add her as a label. Where did my label go? Friends, I want to add that. And then I want to add that label to this conversation with her so that then she gets labeled friends. So whenever I'm chatting with her, I always know that it's a message from her as my friend, and then it will get flagged as such in my inbox. So that's really, really good, and good to do that. And you can add different labels to people. So for example, this lady here's messaged me saying she's been listening to my podcast and she loves it. And I could actually label that as podcast, and I could maybe even label her as potential new customer. So this again allows you to be better organized with your inbox, which honestly, I don't know if you can ever be organized enough when it comes to your inbox. It's something that just is a constant battle. But while we're in here, I'd like to show you a couple more features that you may or may not have used, that I use all the time on Messenger, mainly because I get a lot of messages and I find it difficult to keep up with. So I've gone into automated responses, which is part of my inbox. And so if people message me, they get this message here only on Messenger, because on Instagram, it gets a bit busy. And I can have it for the first time they message me. So it says, hi there. Thanks for messaging me. Due to the heavy number of messages, I hope the following will help. If you're having an issue, contact me here. If you want to book me for that, I hope this helps. So that then gives people a chance to have an automated response so that I don't have to always respond really, really quickly. And the great thing about that is that if, for example, you during the day, generally I'm either training or coaching. It's very rare that I would be sitting at my desk just twiddling my thumbs reading messages. So what I want to do is set people's expectations about how quickly or not they can expect me to reply. So I might even say, I don't generally reply straight away. Please keep that in mind, that I'm doing my best, something like that. Now, the other thing you might want to set is an away message. Now, these can be set according to if you're on holidays or if you actually don't respond to your messages. So I don't answer my messages. I'm a bit brutal, but I don't answer my messages outside of business hours. So if you message me outside of 3 p.m, because that's when my boys get home from school and I try and stop working, if you message me before 9 a.m. or after 3 p.m, you will get this as an automated response, and it will say, thanks for your message. Unfortunately, we're closed right now. We do value your message and respond to you the next business day. And again, what I'm doing is setting expectations, because I don't want to be responding to my emails at 9 o'clock at night. I don't want to be responding to messages because I feel like I have to be doing that all the time. So at the moment, it's only set for Messenger, and I can set it for Instagram as well if I wanted to. I find that Instagram tends to be all over the place, so I don't have that set up. Messenger much more. The other thing that I love is frequently asked questions. And this is really helpful because people will often just ask me, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? So I've got the questions set up. The most commonly asked questions I get are, how do I book you through the Digital Solutions program? What workshops do you have coming up? And how can I book you for coaching? So if people ask that question, again, it's completely automated and they get a response. And the great thing about automated questions is that people are just wanting that information, and it allows them to get an answer without having to wait for me to reply. So all of what this is doing is making my life easier and meaning that I'm under less pressure to respond to customers. So if you know that people always say, how do I buy your book? How do I book into work with you? How do I do this? Set it up as a frequently asked question so that they can get the answer that they need really in real time without having to wait for you to look at that. I love frequent asked questions. I use them a lot. You can tag other things. You can like set your location and your hours and things like that, but I won't go through all of that. This is very straightforward. So we'll jump back to our inbox. And then we go to posts and stories. And again, these are really, really helpful because, again, you can use these a lot according to how often you want to do different things. But I like scheduling and I tend to use scheduling tools quite frequently. So let me just show you how it works. So if I wanted to create a normal post, I go up on the top right here to create post. If I wanted to create a story, I can create a story. At this stage, you cannot schedule reels, just to make you aware of that. We can only do posts and stories. So if we're doing a post, I'm going to just pull that up now. There's some good features in this, and there's some that I particularly love that I really want to bring your attention to. So if I want to create a post, I can create it for Facebook and Insta at the same time. I just simply need to tick and check each box, or I can just do one for Facebook and one for Insta. And I could just talk about, I'm just going to make one up, end of financial year sale. And I could write I can just buy now or something. All right, so I could write a post with it. I can add a photo, I can add a video. So either or, that's entirely up to you. The good thing about this is even though I'm scheduling at the same time to both platforms, I can customize according to Facebook and Instagram, which you definitely want to do, okay? If you're very particular like me, you might want to change the Canva template you use to be slightly different, but you don't have to. On Facebook, and this is what I want to be very clear about, if I'm customizing my Facebook, you do not want to add to your Facebook posts 30 hashtags as you would for Instagram. The maximum hashtags you use on Facebook is probably 5. I would say more like 3 to 4. The good thing about this is that I can click on hashtags and it will help me find some. So if we just want to put EOFY for end of financial year, it's going to tell me what I can use. So it'll say EOFY has been used 52,000 times on Facebook and 101 on Insta. That's great. Let's use that. 2022 and then maybe sales. So now I've got 3 hashtags that I've got already for Facebook done. See how quick that is? You don't have to go and do all that research separately. The other thing that you can do is if you go into Instagram, you can add your 30 hashtags here. And you can actually save some hashtags in here. So you can save different hashtags into banks. So I could have one that was just for sales, that kind of thing. But I do love, let's just put Meta Business in there and see what comes up. So that hasn't been used very much at all. So it's still got a bit of space to go. But I love this, and I would always do my hashtag research in Meta Business Suite. It is so much quicker than doing it on Instagram or on Facebook. And the fact that you can then save it in here will save you so much time down the track. So that's a tool that I really wanted you to see was available. So if we go back to customizing our post, it'll give me a little preview of what it looks like on my desktop or what it looks like on a mobile, so I can check that. Now, some features that you probably like and use and want to make sure you can still use. So you can always use backgrounds. So we have our little backgrounds there, so we can have a look what we've got. I might want to use like that one because it's a sale, and we use a little fire, so that looks cool. And then it will show me a little preview there. Remember, backgrounds really help your posts pop out in a newsfeed. They're very useful. So that feature is still available. Just get rid of that. I can put a call to action of getting messages. I can change my preview. So there's a few things that I can do in both Facebook and Instagram that are handy features to have. So, you know, when you're creating your posts, that's really, really helpful to use this. I love scheduling posts in here. I think it's really, really helpful. Now, when we're ready to schedule, what we can do, so I'll just move that out of the way. On the bottom right of my screen, see it says here optimal times. If I click on this, it actually tells me the best time to post today is 6 p.m. on Facebook or 6 p.m. tomorrow. That's my optimal time. And it's actually the same for Insta, which is very rarely the case. So I might go, right, let's post there. And let's post, so 6 p.m. And then let's do the same for both accounts. And then I can save that. And then what I can then do is I can schedule it, or I can publish it straight away. So the choice is yours, whether you schedule it to go out later or post it straight away. At this point, you can only schedule about 12 weeks in advance, but if you're working much further in front than that, you're doing very, very well. But just to give you an idea of that's how far in advance you can schedule your posts if that's something that you want to be doing. So optimal times, I love that, because if I'm sort of sitting getting organized, I want Facebook or Meta to tell me what's the best time of day to post. I don't want to be guessing myself. So I like that feature. So that's creating a post. I'm going to go back. I'm going to discard that. And then we're going to go to creating a story. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. So with stories, again, the good thing about it is that you can create them. They don't have all of the features. So I just want you to be aware that there's some features in there, but not everything. So if you're used to creating them on your, you know, on Instagram directly, just keep in mind that everything might not be there, but there are still some features. So I'm just going to create one to show you what's available. So I'm going to add some media. What have I got in my downloads that I might be able to use? Sorry, I'm just trying to find something that might be appropriate. I'm not sure what this image is going to be, but it had pink in it, so good chance it's online social butterfly something. So this is the image that I've chosen. It's actually the wrong dimensions, but that's okay, because this is just to show you how to use it. So once it comes up, it says, here's a little, it's actually it's a Facebook banner. That's okay. So this is for my Christmas party I've got coming up at the end of the year. So immediately it shows me, because it's the wrong dimensions, this is what it will look like. It'll fill it for me. And then there are some features that you can use, but remember, not everything. So I can crop my image. I can add some text over the top, which always looks nice. You can choose different fonts. You can add the text. You can change the color. That looks really nice. You can add some stickers. So there's lots in there to choose from. But if you love, like I love Insta stories, and I love like being able to tag other accounts and add links and that, those features don't exist in here. So it is a little bit more limited, but there's still plenty in here that you can use. And if you're the kind of person that like, oh, look, I get so busy, it's just not going to happen if I don't schedule it, then schedule it, okay? And don't be too hard on yourself. So if I wanted to put in a little image, I don't know what would go with Christmas. Hooray. So I could just put that in as a little sticker. And then that's, there's not much that I can do outside of that. The swipe up link feature is only available if you have more than 10,000 fans. So when we click on that, it'll say, okay, hang on. Being a bit particular today, isn't it? So if I go to the swipe up link, it actually says you need to have at least 10,000 fans to use this feature. And that's always been the case. And that's something that we just haven't been able to work around. So it's a good incentive to try and get yourself to 10,000 fans. So here's my story at the moment. And then remember, I can again go to optimal times and I can choose like today at 6 p.m. and that's the best time to post on there. And then I can then schedule that story or share it straight away. So the scheduling tools in Meta Business Suite are great because we want you to be able to get organized and we want you to be able to move through it. So Rebecca, that's a great question. The swipe up, interestingly, used to be like, well, you all used to be desperate for the swipe up feature. And that's why we're all trying to get to 10,000 fans because if you've ever run Instagram story ads, it'll have a swipe up feature and you'll see it at the bottom and it swipes up and it has the whole link in there so people can go to like book my Christmas party, for example. But in Instagram stories, they introduced about 6 months ago the ability to add a link to your stories. And so because you can now link to your story, like I could put a link to book my Christmas party, that swipe up feature became less, what's the word? Less desirable, less sexy, less popular because we can add links to it. So it's not something that I'm bothered. It does annoy me that they've made that there and not the links because I consider that to be one of the most important parts of the story is adding a link to it. So I did a story yesterday and I was on a VIP day with a client and I said, I'm doing a VIP day. It's a really great way to spend a whole day with me. If you're interested, I'm popping the link in the story. So the link was there, but it's not a swipe up link because I don't have 10,000 fans. So it's a cool feature, but the fact that we can add links to our story has made it less impressive, I suppose. So I hope that answers your question, Rebecca. Okay, so that's stories and how we can use those and how we can obviously preview them. It's actually made it look quite nice, that image. It's blended the background for me, so it does look quite good in terms of my pink. So scheduling posts and stories is probably one of the key ways in which I use Meta Business Suite, and I would highly recommend that you use that a lot. The great thing about it is if I was kind of messing around and I didn't have time to do something, you can add some drafts in here and then you kind of like go, oh, they're nearly ready to go. I've just got to go and find all the links or something like that. So if you've just got a little bit of time and want to get organized, it's a good place to kind of get started, get the ball rolling without feeling like you're under pressure to get everything done today. The thing that I do like that you can have a look at is you can have a look at your feed or your grid and have a look at what that looks like. So this is my Facebook feed on my account here. So I can scroll through and have a look at my current posts on there. And then I can go to my Insta and I can have a look at that as my feed, or I can have a look at it as my grid. I'm not a grid obsessive person, as not my personality type, but I know that lots of people like to have like checkerboard grids or puzzle grids. And if that's important, you can then see how is it looking. And if you're happy with that design, and if you think you could change it or make it work better. So always good to do that if that's something that's important. To be honest, yeah, it's not something I'm bothered. So Chris has asked, you can't put links in story on Meta Business Suite, but you can natively in Instagram. That is correct, Chris. So you can't put links when you're scheduling it through Business Suite, but if you're creating stories, let me just check if my story is still live and I'll show you 2 secs. So, actually my story from yesterday has come down because it was only for 24 hours. But typically I will put a link in my story to say, hey, here's an upcoming class. If you want to book it, here's the link. And so you can put that link in your stories. And that feature was added quite recently, Chris. So if you weren't aware of that, please don't be too hard on yourself because it's been a kind of recent addition. And I feel like they didn't advertise it, considering how excited I felt about it. I don't think they promoted it that well. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about commerce because this is something that I would consider to be fundamental if you have a product-based business. So if you're in the same position as me, and you can see that I got declined when I first tried to set it up about 5 years ago, and it tells me every time that I'm still a loser, which is lovely. You can only have a commerce account on Meta, which is Facebook and Insta, if you have a physical product. So I tried to set it up because I've got digital products and it doesn't accept those. But the brilliant thing about this is that if you have a physical product and you have your Meta catalog or e-commerce set up, it can draw content from your website directly, so you don't have to manage two things. And then you can tag your products. Now, particularly on Instagram, this is very important. We know that on Instagram, I'll just open the app to show you. So on the bottom of the app, what you'll see is that there's a little icon that's a little shopping bag. I don't know if that's coming up or not. See that little icon there? Now, what you do is if you click on that, it will take me to what I would call a customized shopping mall. And what's good about that is that it shows me accounts that I follow, their products. So theoretically, it should have, like it's got some Cath Kids and it's got someone who does handmade meals. It does like skincare. It's all of the products that I like because I follow their account. And Instagram research has shown us that people love clicking on that shopping icon and browsing through it. So if you don't have your products set up, you're missing sales, okay? It's free to set up. It's really easy. The only reason you should get declined is if you're like me and you try to break the rules and have a digital product set up in there. And the great thing about this is that you can connect it, like I said, connect it to your website. So it draws the information straight from your website. So if you change the price on your website, it will automatically update in Meta. So both Facebook and Instagram shopping, it makes it all so much easier. And if anything, if the US is anything to go by, then they are moving to being able to complete the transaction in the app. So that means that people no longer need to go to your website to make the purchase. That will be slow to come in Australia because our banking system here is very conservative, which is a good and a bad thing. But just, I want you to keep in mind that you want to keep on top of this because it's important to your business to make sure you've got this all connected. So really, really key that we look at that. We're going to talk about Planner next. And the Planner is probably an extension of your scheduling. And this really shows you, let's get out of that. That shows me what have I had in terms of content that gone out. So you can see that I post a lot on social media. And you can see that it says like, I did like four stories yesterday. This is what I've had go out this morning. And if I was using, because I don't use Meta to schedule, I use Recur Post. And if I was using it for Meta, I would see it in here. So it's really good to see what you've had going on for the week or for the month. So I can see these are all the posts that I have had go out in the last month, which is always good to see. And you can filter it by different content types. So I can see just my posts, just my stories, or just my ads. And I can show it whether it's just for Facebook or Instagram. So really helpful because keeping on top of your social media can feel like a full-time job and we don't want it to feel that hectic. And to me, this is a really useful tool that you want to be getting on top of. Now the ads in here, for those of you who know that I'm ad obsessive, I don't like this at all. So you can see that when I click, the interesting thing is that it's actually taken me to Ad Center. So anyone who has done my training knows that I hate Ad Center because it's like saying, hey, Sarah, would you like to go for a drive this Sunday? I've got a Toyota Corolla and a Ferrari in my car. Let's go out in the Corolla. I love Toyotas. I've got two, but you just wouldn't do that. And to me, Ad Center is really not giving you enough detail or enough information. And I don't really use Meta to manage my ads. I would always go into Ads Manager. I think it's much more comprehensive. What it does show is it does tell me a top line. So in the last, so again, you can always change the date. So 7, 30 or 60 days, it defaults to 60. So in the last 60 days, I have spent $4,500 on this ad, $14 on that ad, $265 on that ad, and $235 on that ad. So that tells me what I've spent. It's a lot of money. And it tells me how my ads are performing. So this is, I would call it very top line view. And it's not something that when you're spending money on ads, that top line view isn't really sufficient. It's not giving you enough detail and information to effectively manage your ads. So I don't use Meta for my ads management. I only go into Ads Manager for that. So I want to be very clear about that. Not that I'm being dismissive of it, but I spend too much money on my ads to consider this to be enough data to be helpful for me. And to me, it doesn't matter whether you're spending, you know, what am I spending, $4,500 or $1. It's all money that we have to earn in our business. And to me, it should be well managed. And this tool here doesn't allow me to do that. So that's the only thing I don't like about Meta Business Suite is the ads. I wish they'd never put it in here because I love everything else about it. So we're going to jump into insights because this is, you know, I'm all about the numbers. And we want to see what's going on. So if I haven't been into my insights in a little while, it gives me a pop-up of what's happened for my last week. So it says to me, these are my posts. I've set some goals. These are my results. So it says how are things going. And this is my audience growth. And I love data. I'm such a numbers nerd. So to me, I'm like, yay, that's great. So I'll click off that. And then we can see what's going on in here, which is always really, really helpful. So this is, again, Insights overview. So I've just set some goals. So remember, you can always change your time frame. So I can change it to a custom, like say I was running a promotion in the last 3 days, I could do that. Last month, last week, last year, last 90 days, that kind of thing. So I think it's the last 28, which I think is great. We'll leave it at that. So first of all, it tells me my paid reach, my general Facebook reach, my Instagram reach. I've obviously declined what I'm spending as well. And then it shows me what content is performing well, how my audiences are looking. And I love this information here because you should know who your audience is. And if your Instagram and Facebook fans do not reflect your audience, you need to do something about that. So mine tells me that 87% of my audience on Facebook and 85% on Instagram are women. Happy days. I mostly work with women. You know, I'm not sexist or anything like that, but they are the people who resonate with me and that I find it easiest to sell to because they understand what I'm trying to do. So I've intentionally driven my business to be very much focused on women in business. So if my audience didn't reflect that, I've probably done something wrong with my marketing. The other thing I know about my audience is they tend to be women aged 35 to 55. And that is exactly what that biggest audience is there. So most of my audience sit in there and there. So 65% of my audience fits in that. And you'll always have some that sit outside of it, but you want most of them to sit in a specific age range and to be a specific gender. So really important to get that. So that's my overview. Great to look at. I would suggest that you look at your insights once a month. You don't need to be diving into this daily. I try not to look at it regularly, but I do like insights. The next thing is our results. And these can be, again, customized on the top right to different date ranges. So this is still the last 28 days. This is how things have gone for me and my, so my Facebook page, my Instagram, the profile visits. Now, profile visits on Instagram are very important. So 1,000 people visited my profile in the last 28 days, which is awesome. You always have less on Facebook. New likes. And then your reach and impressions, always really, really important. So I like those kind of results. Then with our content, this is important because if you're creating content, you want it to perform well and it will immediately stand out to you which content is performing better. So my podcast always performs well. It comes out on a Wednesday. That post is always one of my most popular posts of the week. Depending on who I've interviewed will depend on how well it performs. So, you know, once you start to see what's working, obviously you just create more of that. So, you know, there's nothing that's rocket science about your social media marketing. It's what's working already and how can I do more of that? And this kind of top line picture says to me, this is a lead magnet. So it's like it's a free ebook that people can get, and anything that's free, people always love. So they always perform well. So just keep that in mind. We want to be making sure we're giving a good lot of content. Now, this one here in your audience, this is really good because that top line overview that we looked at here, this actually dives in a little bit deeper and gives us some more insight into our audience. So remember at the start of our webinar, I set some goals and I'm working towards those. At the moment, I haven't got any, but we only set them 40 minutes ago, so I'll give myself a break. Now, the other thing about this is your current audience. And what does it look like? So on top of that data, which it shows us on our overview, it also now gives us a breakdown of where they're located. And again, this is really, really important. So when we've got Facebook on the left, Insta on the right, Because if your business, so for example, my business, I'm located in Perth, and so it is not surprising that a big chunk of my audience are in Perth. So 34% of my Facebook fans and 18% of my Insta fans are in Perth. But I do train online, and I do have online products that anyone in the world can buy. And if I'm honest, most of my Facebook advertising is focused on these countries here, which is actually where I'm picking up a lot of my audience from. So what I would say to you is have a look at this breakdown and kind of ask yourself, look, if I only deliver, like if I was a face-to-face trainer that only trained in Perth, all of this would just be vanity, because it's no use to me having fans in Melbourne if they can't buy anything from me. So don't be sucked into that kind of vanity metric. The other thing is, of course, if you can only train in Perth, having other countries is not important to you. And I would say to you, if you had too many of your fans from developing world nations, so that might be things like India, the Philippines, they are often spam accounts, and we don't want many of those to be showing up. So this tells me my account is in good stead, because most of mine come from English speaking countries, which is what my audience is, and that I'm doing a good job. And that interestingly, Facebook, which I've had longer than Insta, is very heavily reliant on Australia, whereas Instagram has a much bigger geographic spread, and that would be quite typical of it. Someone just asked a question, can you create a catalogue if you're a service provider? The answer straight up is no. You can only have commerce and catalogues if you have physical products. You cannot use them for digital products or service-based products such as coaching and training. And I'm not sure that they're going to change that in the immediate future. And it's kind of frustrating, because I would love to have that set up and I simply cannot. So I hope that answers your question. So there's a whole lot of really good information under your insights. And again, I would just sense check this. If any of you attend my monthly content planning, I always suggest that we review this once a month to see what it looks like and how how is it performing is what's most important. Okay, so we're going to go down to our next tools down here. So all tools. And then this gives us a whole lot of breakdown, which includes going into Ads Manager, which is my favorite place to be. So this breaks the intersections on how to engage our audience, how to manage our kind of like our business settings, our advertising, and then our reports and insights. And if you have a service-based business like I do, I can actually allow people to create appointments through Facebook. So I've got a lot of clients who are things like beauty therapists or hairdressers, where they want their clients to be able to book their appointments themselves. You can connect things like Acuity or Calendly in here. And so if that's something that's of interest to your business, I would definitely recommend you go. So that was under this little menu here, all tools, and then it's under appointments. The other thing that you can do is under services, you can add a breakdown of your services. So if you're a service provider and you want to add, like I could have like a 1 hour coaching, 5 hour coaching, a VIP day, I could add all of those in as services in here. And then those are visible for my audience to have a look at as well. So really, really helpful. Now, the last thing I want to show you, so I'm just going to scroll down a wee bit, is under your settings. Now, with your settings, it is so important that you have everything set up really, really strongly. And I always say to people, it's really, really key that you don't simply have a single admin on your page or the login, because a lot of people have their account hacked. So having a look at your settings and your business settings. So I'm not going to click in this because it's going to give you all my private information. But what I want to say is this: it is so important that you have two-factor authentication turned on. So I'm going to just jump back out of Meta, and I want to show you how to do that because it's really, really key. Oh, sorry, I just didn't want to share all my billing details and stuff because it's my private info. So we're back on Facebook here. And if we go to the top right here to settings and privacy, I would really encourage everybody to do a checkup on this. Okay, so see here it's got, just move that, privacy checkup. Now this, you should definitely go and do it regularly. I've had 3 people try to hack my account in the last week because I keep getting notifications of people trying to reset my password. I've got two-factor authentication turned on so they can't get in. And more importantly, you want to really retain your privacy, and this is key. So we're going to do this privacy checkup. So I can share who saw this. So I reviewed mine quite recently because people are just trying to hack my account. How do I keep my account secure, and how can people like manage your data? So if you walk through each one of these privacy checkups, you're going to find it very worthwhile, because you're going to feel confident that your account is more secure. I'm not going to say secure because people can still hack your account. And I would strongly suggest that you do not have like Sarah 1980 as my password. Like, don't create passwords that are really very low in terms of security. I use a piece of software called LastPass. I'll pop that in here so you can see it. So it's called LastPass. It is a a password storage system. And I think it costs $10 or $15 a year. And it is so incredibly useful because it generates passwords for you, which is a whole jumble of letters and numbers and characters, which is virtually impossible to crack. And then you can update all of your passwords and store them safely, so you don't actually have to remember them, which is really helpful. So LastPass is very secure. You can have it on your phone and all of your devices. And you really want to check that you've got your security settings up really high, because I've seen so many people message me saying my account's been hacked, it's gone. And I can just simply say to them, look, I'm really sorry, it's unlikely you're going to get it back. And that is not what I want to say to people. It's really depressing, because most of us, like, the worst thing that can happen is if you are the only admin on your business Facebook page and you lose that, you have to start again. And like, that almost makes me feel sick thinking about that, because I've invested so much time and energy in my business. I would be devastated to lose those tools. So please do this privacy checkup. As I said, it's just under your profile here, under settings and privacy, and then it's that privacy checkup. Really worthwhile doing, and definitely having two-factor authentication turned on. Okay, so I've gone through a lot today, and I'm very mindful of that. So I'd like to open the floor if anyone has any questions, and I can dive in a little bit more detail to anything in particular that I can help you with. Why did I answer all your questions? I either did a great job or I've overwhelmed you. How does Business Manager come in? So that's a great question. Business Manager relates more to ads. And so inside Business Manager is where you'll set up details, and it really pertains to how do you manage your assets. So I should call it Meta. On Meta, we have assets, and our assets are our Facebook page, our Instagram profile, our ads manager account is an asset, our pixel that goes on our website, and our catalog. They are all assets, and they are managed inside Business Manager, not Business Suite. Again, I don't know, it's obviously tech people that come up with these stupid names that are so similar, it's very confusing. So in Business Manager, I can see all of my assets, and what I can then do is I can assign ownership of those assets. So if I want to own all of them, I can assign them to myself as Sarah Thompson. I can then assign them to, say I want my virtual assistant, Claire, to just manage my page. I can assign her to be a moderator on my page. So I can assign, and if I was working with an advertising agency, I can give them permission to manage my ad account, but they can't access my page. So that's where you manage your permissions. And it's also really important inside Business Manager that you make sure you've got your details set up correctly. And that's why I didn't want to share those, because I've got like my address, my phone number, my email address, my ABN, all of that information is stored in there so that Meta has access to that data so that they can use that. So because I spend a lot of money on ads, I want to claim the GST back on my business. And so if I don't have my ABN registered with them, I won't get that ability to do that. So setting up your Business Manager is important. It's how you will allocate different assets. It's how you enter the information that Facebook will use it when you're using it as a business tool, rather than just using it as, it still is a business tool, but do you know what I mean? Like a more high level business tool. So I hope that's answered your question. You missed the start. How do I set up Meta and where do I find it? Great question, Tamara. And I'll quickly jump back and share my screen because it's super easy and I want you to feel like you can do this. So if we go back to my Facebook page, we'll just jump in here. The easiest way to get to Meta, and as I mentioned at the beginning, there is an app as well as the Chrome browser. So I'm on my home here of my of Facebook, and so Meta is just there as a menu item, so I can click on there, or I can go to my business page and I can click on Meta Business Suite here. So it is generally pretty easy to find, and once you're there, you can just bookmark it and keep coming back to it. Okay, thanks. Good. Fab. Awesome. Thanks, Tamara. Okay. Any more questions I can help with? Okay, all right. I'm going to wrap us up. If you have more questions, I will come back to them because we've still got plenty of time. Okay, so just as a wrap up from today's webinar, it's been lovely to have you join me. And as I mentioned at the beginning, today's webinar is presented to you free of charge via Business Station. And this is because it's part of the federal government's program called Digital Solutions, or ASBAS. Now, under this program, you can access 7 hours of mentorship for $44, which, as you can imagine, is heavily subsidised. Now, this is made up of 3 hours of one-to-one sessions and 4 hours of workshops and webinars. Now, the point of this program is what the federal government wants is they want you to be more confident using digital for your business. So our core areas of kind of capabilities are social media and digital marketing, online security and data privacy, websites and selling online, and using business software like Meta Business Suite. So to find out if you, I've got my slides around the wrong way there. To find out if you're eligible, you simply have to have an ABN registered in WA, Queensland, or the Northern Territory. You have to be running a for-profit business, and you have to have less than 20 full-time employees. Now, I've put a link on there, but if you simply go to the Business Station website, it is front and center on the homepage and really easy for you to find. Now, if you would like to work with me as your preferred advisor, I would love that. I love being an advisor on this program. As I mentioned, I've been doing it for 3 years now, and I think I've met a lot of you through this program. I do offer a lot of advisory services. You need to put me, Sarah Thompson, down as your preferred advisor. So when you sign up and pay your $44, it says, do you have a preferred advisor? Please put Sarah Thompson down. Now, to find out if I'm your girl, here's what I work in and what my areas of expertise are. I am an expert in Facebook marketing and advertising, the same as Instagram. I'm definitely an expert on content, and I love Canva. And to be fair, I don't know why I'm missing off that, I can definitely help you with all things marketing and digital strategy. If you're looking for something that's not me, you don't have to put anyone's name down. And when you book, Business Station will call you and you'll be assigned to an advisor. And there's a team of about 25 of us, and we all have specific areas of expertise. So you're always welcome to ask and say, look, I need some help with this. And they'll say, well, we've got someone we can match you with. So as I mentioned, it is a great program. I do love being a part of it. And I hope you've enjoyed today's webinar. It will be available on YouTube in the next few days. And remember, you can't break Meta Business Suite. So jump in, have some fun, play around with it, and get really comfortable using it. Thank you all for your time. I'm just checking. Oh, no more questions. Brilliant. Excellent. The recording is sent to you by Business Station. They usually do it within a few business days, but yeah, give them a little bit of time. Things have been very busy of late. So it used to be 2 to 3 days. It's more like 4 to 5 at the moment. Thanks.